Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today, we're going to be unlocking the absolute secret code of life itself. When we look around, the natural world can seem like this wild, totally chaotic place, just bursting with an endless variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms. But actually, beneath all that apparent chaos lies a stunningly elegant order. Scientists have spent literally centuries figuring out exactly how to organize, name, and make sense of this magnificent living world. So, in this explainer, we are going to decode that exact system together.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 key areas. 1. Defining the living world. 2. The problem with local names. 3. Rules of scientific naming. 4. The ladder of classification. And 5. Real-world taxonomic examples. Let's get going.
Starting off with Section 1, Defining the Living World.
Right, so before we can start classifying life, we really have to establish what it actually means to be alive. Biologically speaking, life is this unique, incredibly complex organization of molecules, and it expresses itself through continuous chemical reactions. These reactions drive absolutely everything: growth, development, adaptation, you name it. But what really nails down the definition of living organisms is that they're self-replicating, meaning they can multiply and copy their own DNA. They're also self-regulating, interactive systems that manage their own internal workings. And, this is huge, they can respond to external stimuli in their environment, like changes in light or temperature.
And when we take those living, adapting systems and look at the whole planet, we hit this absolutely staggering number, 1.7 to 1.8 million. That is the number of known, described species currently hanging out on Earth. That is our known biodiversity. And to put that into perspective, as we keep exploring new environments and even rechecking old ones, new organisms are being identified all the time. The sheer scale of it is just breathtaking.
But this massive biodiversity kind of brings up a huge problem. With 1.7 to 1.8 million unique species out there, how on earth do we keep track of them all without it turning into total communication chaos? Like, how does a scientist in one country talk to a scientist in another about a specific bug or plant and guarantee beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are talking about the exact same thing?
Which brings us to Section 2, the problem with local names.
So that question about global communication, it leads us right to the total mess caused by everyday regional language. If we just rely on local names, we hit a brick wall immediately. Local names vary wildly, not just between countries, but literally from town to town. It causes immense global confusion. To fix this, scientists realized, we need scientific names, universal tags that guarantee consistency across the entire world. To lock this down, global scientific communities established strict codes. For plants, we've got the ICBN, the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. For animals, it's the ICGN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. These codes are the law, ensuring that one specific organism gets exactly one globally recognized name.
All right, Section 3, Rules of Scientific Naming.
Let's move to how this builds, because you can't just go making up names on the fly. The process is called taxonomy, and it follows 4 highly sequential, totally critical steps. First up is characterization, figuring out the specific features of the organism. Second is identification, correctly recognizing what those features actually are. Third is classification, grouping the organism into a convenient category based on what we can easily observe. And finally, step 4 is nomenclature, officially stamping it with its standardized scientific name. You absolutely cannot name an organism without nailing those first 3 steps.
Now, the naming system we use in that final step is called binomial nomenclature. We owe this entire brilliant setup to the architect of modern taxonomy, Carolus Linnaeus. Binomial just means 2 names. It's that simple. Every single globally accepted scientific name has 2 components, the generic name and the specific epithet. Take the mango, for example. Its scientific name is Mangifera indica. Mangifera is the genus, and indica is the specific species. It's a clean, universal 2-part code.
But of course, there are rules. If you're prepping for exams, pay super close attention here, because these rules are strict. First, the biological name has to be Latin or Latinized, no matter where it was discovered. Second, if you're typing it out on a computer, it must be italicized. But if you're writing it by hand, both words have to be underlined separately. Third, the genus name always gets a capital letter, while the species name is always lowercase. And finally, the author who first described the species gets their name abbreviated right at the very end. So for our mango, it's written as Mangifera indica Linn, giving a nice little nod to Linnaeus.
Moving right along to Section 4, the ladder of classification.
Okay, so our organism finally has its shiny new universal name. What's next? Well, we have to file it into this massive, highly structured biological library. To do that, scientists use a field called systematics. The root word there, systema, basically means the systematic arrangement of living organisms, a term Linnaeus famously used for his publication Systema Naturae. But modern systematics is a whole different ballgame. It goes way beyond just classifying and naming. It looks deep into the evolutionary family trees between organisms. Today's taxonomic studies rely heavily on cell structure, how the organism develops, and its ecological relationships with the environment. It's the whole shebang.
So, the crucial point to understand here is the inverse relationship in this whole setup. Right at the very bottom of the classification ladder, you have the species. This is the lowest rank, meaning it's where organisms share the absolute maximum amount of similarities. It's way less inclusive, pretty much only super closely related organisms that can interbreed fit here. But as you travel up that ladder, those similarities start dropping off. By the time you hit the very top, you're at the kingdom level. That's the highest rank. It has the minimum amount of shared similarities, which makes it incredibly broad and inclusive.
And here is that exact stepwise ladder, what we call the taxonomic hierarchy. Starting from the top, we go down. Kingdom, phylum, or we say division for plants, class, order, family, genus, and finally, species. Each individual step on this ladder represents a rank, or a category. We call a single step a taxon, and multiple steps taxa. Every taxon is its own distinct unit of classification based on those observable similarities we talked about.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Real-World Taxonomic Examples.
I know Latin names and ladders can feel a bit abstract, so let's ground this with some stuff you actually see every day. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how different, distinct species get grouped together into a shared genus just because they share a few core features. Look at the plant genus Solanum. It actually lumps together the potato, nightshade, and the brinjal, or eggplant. Completely different species, same exact genus. Same thing happens in the animal world. The genus Panthera groups all the heavy hitters, the lion, tiger, and leopard. But, fun fact, your standard house cat, they don't make the cut. They get put into a totally separate genus called Felis.
Now let's climb a bit higher up that ladder to the family and order levels, where things start getting a lot less similar. We just mentioned big cats and house cats. They actually reunite at the family level in a group called Felidae. Dogs, on the other hand, have their own family, Canidae. But go one step higher to the order level and boom, both the cat family and the dog family are suddenly grouped together into the order Carnivora. Plants do the exact same thing. The plant families Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae get grouped into the order Polymonials, and that's based entirely on their shared floral characteristics. All right, let's jump almost all the way to the top, the phylum level. A really great example here is Phylum Chordata. To get into this massive club, an animal basically just needs a notochord and a dorsal hollow neural system, which is essentially a backside nervous system. Because it's such a broad, high-level category, you've got fishes, frogs, reptiles, birds, and mammals, including us humans, all sharing this exact same phylum. And from there, every single one of us is scooped up into the ultimate category, kingdom Animalia. And this brilliantly illustrates everything we've just been talking about. Seriously, this matrix is basically your ultimate rapid revision cheat sheet. Just look at the biological sweep happening here. For us humans, we're Homo sapiens, genus Homo, family Hominidae, order Primata, class Mammalia, and phylum Chordata. The common housefly? That's Musca domestica, sitting in class Insecta and phylum Arthropoda. Over in the plant world, our mango is Mangifera indica, climbing up to the Dicotyledonnae class and Angiospermae division. And wheat, Triticum aestivum, goes from the Poaceae family to the Monocotyledonnae class, also landing under the Angiospermae division. This one single matrix organizes literally everything, from tiny insects to us humans, from grass to fruit trees, into one completely universal logical system. It's like a giant puzzle, perfectly pieced together. Which brings us right to the end of our explainer today. We've gone all the way from figuring out what life even is to decoding the system that beautifully organizes nearly 2 million species. So next time you see a dog walking down the street or you grab a mango off your kitchen counter, stop for a second and ask yourself, what is its exact unique place in this massive, magnificent living world? The code is out there, just waiting for you to read it. Keep observing, keep questioning, and keep exploring.